it's very close to 5. Not quite 5:30?
Yeah. Okay, this is the planning board meeting of May 21st, 2024. The first item on the agenda where we will take a roll call. We have Mr. Abrams, Mr. Costanza, Mr. Rivera,
Here.
Ms. Simmons-Hurling,
Present.
Mr. Stamatopoulos, absent. Mr. Sullivan, absent. Ms. Hoffman, present. First public hearing is a request to change the zoning of parcels 1, 2, 3, and 4 North Shore Road from general business to TED. Have any proponents?
Councilor Greeno Sawaya, Ward 5 Councilor. Okay, so the proposed zoning change for the GB to the TED district will align more closely with the intent of the city's zoning ordinances. The properties are currently used as repair garages, which is not allowed in the GB district. Repair garages are an allowable use in the TED district. Additionally, the new property owner would like to exercise a Class 2 license on the property, which is allowable use in the TED district. I look forward to discussing it further. So, let me know what you need.
Thank you. Does anyone have questions for her?
I have a map.
Oh, wonderful.
There was a map included with their agenda. I don't know if they have it.
It's okay. It might help for Leah. Excellent. Thank you.
What the gentleman is basically trying to do is just sell a car. So he owns a tow company, and what happens is once they keep the vehicles, they sell the cars afterwards if they're there for so long, and he wants to get his license to sell the car, and this is why it needs to be changed to the TED district. He wants to be in compliance.
Excuse me. So it's a dealer, cars,
He's not a car dealer.
it's not a car dealer?
No. The two businesses that are there, one was originally a car dealership, it's Doc Kagan, but it was non-conforming in that district to begin with. So if you're selling cars, you should be in a TED district, but it was zoned as a GB district, which is just general business. So if you make it a TED district, everything will be conforming.
Do you know how long it was out of compliance, yet still a car dealership for previously?
I don't, but it was a long time.
Are they doing any remodelation on the property, or are they gonna do any remodeling on the property, or?
They did come before a site plan review. The new operator there is going to have a diesel truck garage, commercial garage. And it was always a commercial garage for auto repair work. They're going to continue it as that. And they're only going to add a Class 2 license to sell a few used cars. So between that property and the property next door has always been car service-related uses in the general business district. The TED district allows for the same thing as of right. The only thing the TED district would change is more of a commercial district. It would, it would not allow any residential uses in the TED district. So in the future, if they ever wanted to convert to multifamily housing or anything of that nature, they could do it, but they could do it under a plan unit development by special permit of the city council. So it's really not taking anything away from the owners of the property.
Frank, do you know if it's ever been used as residential?
Fine?
Do you know if that space has ever been used as residential?
Never.
No, never, no. Always been commercial.
This is along the water, right?
It's on North Shore Road. There's
Right,
nothing there, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Right before Oak Island.
Do you have questions? Does anybody have questions they want to ask? That was helpful. Well, we have to see if
Well,
there's
th- this
openness
is-
first.
Thank
There's
you.
a proponent. Are there other, anybody else?
I'm the
that would like
city
to speak?
councilor, I'm a proponent. Thank you so much.
Are there other proponents that would like to speak? Are there any opponents?
Okay, hearing none, close that part of the hearing. The hearing is closed. We'll go on to the second hearing. The second hearing is an amendment to the floodplain overlay district ordinance. Every 5 years, FEMA updates the revised floodplain maps for the National Flood Insurance Program. This time around, there has been no changes, substantial changes that affect any properties in Revere, other than a few properties that have been taken out of the floodplain, including the area around Suffolk Downs. They filed for a map revision with FEMA, and it was approved to take that area out of the 100-year floodplain. Also, we had a revision along Rogan's Point. Along the seawall, there was a Zone V, which is a high-velocity zone. We were able to petition FEMA to revise their maps to take that zone out of the floodplain zoning map. So that zone is now an AE zone, which is a regular 100-year floodplain, not a high-velocity zone. So all the other language that's included in the ordinance refers to the new floodplain maps that are going to be coming out effective July 3rd this year, 2024. And it's language that is required by FEMA, mandated by FEMA for the city of Revere to continue its participation in the flood insurance program. So every 5 years, we adopt their model language, which updates their requirements. And it's just a matter of sending it to the city council for final adoption. I send the vote to FEMA, showing that the city has adopted their regulations, and we can continue to be in compliance with the floodplain, flood insurance program. So that's basically it in a nutshell. There are a few other properties in the city where individual property owners were successful in getting their properties out of the flood zone. They file what's called a letter of map amendment with FEMA. And if FEMA approves it, they come out of the flood zone. So those properties have been included in this map revision also. That pretty much sums it up. Any questions?
Frank, can we note that John's here? So that way he can vote? Can we note that John is here, so that way he can vote?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Madam Chairman, may I address a
Absolutely.
question? So you mentioned Suffolk Downs, which was in the, I believe, the flood map. Is it still entirely in the flood map, or different
No,
sections taken
it's
out?
totally removed.
Totally removed?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, they went through a long process through FEMA, doing modeling, and the fact that Seals Creek is not tidal anymore was helped their cause. So they proved to FEMA that area would not flood in the 100 years flood event.
The infield if I remember correctly, was a retention area for Seals Creek.
Right.
And then it retained, which would be in the middle of the racetrack, and then it moved to the pumping station in the back of the track, across the way from the VFW. Is Suffolk Downs still, when they first presented it, they had a retention area there. Is the retention area still there? or-
Oh, absolutely. The whole site is being developed resiliently against flooding.
I remember one of their first proposals, and I was amazed, they wanted garages to go down 20 feet. Do you remember that first one?
That's,
That didn't last long when they
That's not gonna
did
happen.
their first soil test.
yeah, yeah,
So-
yeah. So Seals Creek is a maintenance drainage basin for the city, especially the west part of the city. The area up here near Broadway, Library neighborhood, all that area drains down through Seals Creek and out through the Bennington Street pumping station. So when there's heavy rainfall events and this area of the city gets flooded, which it does, that pump station kicks on and it drains everything down.
This area by Immaculate goes to where
By Immaculate, that whole drainage area where, in the library.
Where
area,
Slade's
where
Mill
the old
used to
high
be.
school used to be, Immaculate
Yeah.
Conception, all that area, that, that all drains down and down underneath Lee Burbank Highway into Seals Creek, Green Creek, and into Seals Creek and out to Belle Isle Marsh.
Are they repairing those drains right now? I see a lot of drains.
Yeah, they're
being-
doing a lot of infrastructure work on the property.
Not drains, though, not yet. Right
Not
now,
yet?
we're just doing water mains. And then the drains will come
Yeah.
in a second.
Is there a maintenance program that they have to do for these drains also? That,
Well, the roadways will be private. For the infrastructure within the roadways, water, sewer, and drainage, the responsibility of the city to maintain. And they are building, also building a sewer pump station that will
Suffolk
take,
Downs?
yeah, that will take their flow offline and pump it into Boston, so it comes out of our system.
Goes to Boston Harbor on the other side?
It will go into the Caruso Pump Station in East Boston, and then out to Deer Island,
That used to be the old Boston Sewer.
yeah.
Is that correct? The old Iron
Yeah,
Works used
so
to be
we're
over there.
we're trying to work with the MWRA and Boston Water and Sewer to build a larger pump station to direct 90% of Revere's wastewater flow through that pump station, so we don't have any problems in the city. Because we're the last on the line to kick in after Chelsea. We're the last, we're the bottom of the system. After everything else goes out, then Revere goes out. So if there's heavy rainfall events, there's a lot of inflow and infiltration in the sewer system, Revere is the last to get pumped out.
I know that pump station, which is right by the bridge, the lift bridge, the riser bridge,
Yeah, yeah.
it pumps out East Boston. I don't know if it pumps out Chelsea. Does it pump out Winthrop also? Winthrop is tied into there also?
They're all tied into that.
They're all tied in.
Everything all the way up to Melrose and,
Oh, really?
yeah. All
And
the
Revere's going to tie into it?
all the MWRA communities, all the way up north, come down. And that's why their flow goes out first, and Revere can't get in. That's why we have backups, sewer backups in the city. And we blamed it on the MWRA for not allowing our sewers, our system to drain out. And it's been a
So
problem.
is this on the planning table still, or is this actually going to happen, that we're tying in?
Well, this is going to happen. We've been working a long time on removing inflow and infiltration from our sewer system to prevent sewer surcharges, manhole surcharges. You don't see many more. There used to be, every time there was a heavy rainfall event, you'd get a lot of surcharging of manholes, especially in the low-lying areas of the city. We removed a lot of that extraneous flow from our system, and now the system is working the way it should be. But during really heavy rainfall events, when there's a lot of other communities that aren't doing a lot with their I&I removal, and there's a lot of that stormwater that's entering the sewer system, that overburdens the MWRA system in their pump station. and it's hard for our sewer flow to discharge and get out.
Just one other question, if I may. I know you mentioned some areas we're taking out of the V, I think it's the V section of the flood map.
The V zone, yes.
Is it V or B?
V,
V.
high velocity, yes.
So I know some sections of Endicott Ave, on top of the hill, Endicott Ave, are they still in the flood zone?
No,
They're out of there now?
no. Yeah, yeah. The only part is the parkway in the bottom of Endicott. And as it comes down to Leverett Avenue there, and some portions of Dolphin Avenue and Jones Road and George Ave are still in it.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Frank, just a question. That's not going to have any effect on the residents around the area, right?
No, no, there's no major changes to our map, so no, there'll be no new properties put into the flood zone as a result of the new maps.
Do you have much idea as to how the impact of insurance premiums? The insurance premiums to those people that live there.
Yes.
I'm sure that this will impact that, right?
Well, that will still be
For sure.
play, yeah, yeah. So this is all to allow people to be part of the flood insurance program. Otherwise, if the city does not qualify, nobody's eligible for flood insurance, and it's not a good thing.
Do you have a map on who's going to be included, Frank?
Yes, the maps will be coming out effective July 3rd of this year. FEMA will send us the maps, so they'll be printable. We'll include them on our GIS system so everybody will be able to see them. I have preliminary maps that show the changes, so there are no additional major changes happening to our floodplain, other than showing the properties that have been removed.
Do we have any other questions?
So if I hear correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, no new properties will be added to the flood zone, right? If you're already in it, you're in it.
Correct.
Correct. And this allows people to now be eligible to get flood insurance who may otherwise not have been.
Correct.
Okay.
It doesn't seem to be a mandatory relationship. That was what I was trying to figure out.
Well, that's not what I was going with. I think there was benefit here saying, hey, people right now don't have choice.
Right.
And they'd be at that point where that protection would be available to them, where right now it's presently not. But as I think you're saying, they wouldn't be required to.
Correct.
Does that sound
Right.
correct?
Because that would be
Correct.
pricey.
Yeah, it'd be expensive.
Yeah. So these regulations that I drafted were in compliance with a FEMA model, what they required. And I had to submit the draft regulations before it went to public hearing to the state and FEMA for approval. And they approved the language and, so adoption of these regulations would bring Revere into compliance, back into compliance. We were already in compliance, but continue to be in compliance.
How, is it every 5 years, Frank?
Yes.
That makes sense. Go right ahead.
If there's no other further questions from the board and no other people coming up to test.
I don't see any proponents or opponents to speak to this, but anybody is welcome.
Can we move the
Then-
question then?
For sure. Go right ahead.
Close the hearing. We can move to the regular meeting. First order is the approval of previous meeting minutes. In your packet, you received the minutes from March 26th and April 9th meetings. So we just need a vote of approval.
Approve the minutes?
Second.
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 All in favor?
All in favor? Yes.
Approved. Yes. Second order of business is a vote on the recommendation to the City Council with respect to the zoning map change of parcels 1, 2, 3, and 4 on North Shore Road.
Are there any final questions on that? I wanted to make sure, I know you were running late, John.
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay, thank you. We're
We'll-
good.
We'll need a motion from the board, or,
Madam Chair, I move that we move the question and accept it and send it back to the, in approval of the North Shore Road.
Yes. Are you ready to vote?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful.
is there a second?
Second.
The motion on the floor by Mr. Abrams, second by Mr. Stamatopoulos, that the zoning map changes for lots 1, 2, 3, and 4 North Shore Road be favorably recommended to the city council. On the motion, Mr. Abrams,
Yes.
Mr. Costanza,
Yes.
Mr. Rivera,
Yes.
Mrs. Simmons Hurling,
Yes.
Mr. Stamatopoulos,
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan is absent. Ms. Hoffman?
Yes.
Voted, so ordered. Second order of business is a vote on recommendation to the city council with respect to a proposed amendment to the floodplain zoning ordinance.
You ready to bring that one to vote? Yes.
A motion by Mr. Abrams?
Motion.
Who made the motion?
Yes, that we bring the motion to amend the floodplain city ordinance for the next 5 years.
Is there a second? Mr. Rivera? Okay, on the motion to favorably recommend to the city council the amendments to the floodplain zoning ordinance, Mr. Abrams?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Costanza?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes.
Yes. Ms. Simmons Hurling?
Yes.
Mr. Stamatopoulos?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Sullivan is absent. And Ms. Hoffman?
Yes.
Yes. Voted and so ordered. There being no further business, the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you
Closing
very
meeting.
much.
See you all next month.
Okay.